Hello there, my friends. It's Jen Pittabach with By the Shore Stamping, and welcome back to my new catalog video series. We're releasing a new video every day from May 1st to the 15th to launch the brand new Stampin' Up! Annual catalog. And although we're doing 15 videos around this catalog, there's so much good stuff in here that you're definitely going to want to get your hands on a copy or go check out the website, which you can see here, jenpitta.stampinup.net. That will show you all the new goodies. So today I'm going to do something a little bit different. Actually, I'm going to do a little scrapbooking with you. We're going to do some pocket page scrapbooking, and actually we're just going to do kind of the cover page. I think I'm kind of doing this on the fly, so it's very much like my Thursday Throwdowns. So if you watch Thursday Throwdown, you'll be used to this format. But essentially, I'm going to put together the cover page of my Grease album right here, right now. So that's our plan for today. So if you're a scrapbooker, welcome, because that is my first true love. I actually started Stampin' Up! Because I wanted to do more scrapbooking, and I loved the color coordination of our Stampin' Up! Product. So ironically, I actually had already started this album. This is my Grease album from 2019. I went to Greece for the Stampin' Up! Incentive trip with my niece, and I'd already started doing this, these pocket pages with, I forget what they're called, World Map, I think was the suite then, but then of course I got the new catalog, and we have this amazing new suite called Mediterranean Blooms, and if you guys don't look at this and say, oh, this screams Grease, then I don't know, because that's what that says to me. So take a look at this paper. So we've got the lemons and the oranges and the flowers, and then these fun Mediterranean kind of vibe prints. So you can see this paper is part of this collection. I'll show you the rest of it too, but this is the collection here. There you go. So those are the papers, and then there's this one too, which was the back side of these lemons, which I already cut into because I'm going to use that. So that's the paper, and then in addition to the paper in this suite, we also have the Citrus Blooms stamp set, and these are called Opal Rounds Assortment. Love the colors. And then here, whoops, I thought I took this out of the packaging, but I did not yet. This is the coordinating dies for the stamp set, which are also called Citrus Bloom. Let's take a look at those. So I love this. How cool is that, right? And then this one here as well. So lots of fun components to this suite. And if you've been to the Mediterranean or to Greece or anything like that, this I think is perfect bundle or collection to use to document that trip. So these, I just went ahead and pulled all the colors because on the back of the paper it will tell you all the colors that are in the paper. I probably won't use all these colors. I'll probably stick to kind of like the blue, yellow, and maybe like the peachy color depending on the paper, but blues are probably going to be my focus for most of it. But I like to pull all the colors that are in the paper because sometimes you want just a pop of a different color, so that way I have it all here and I can play with it as needed. But like I said, I had already started this, so I've already started my process, and usually my process for pocket page scrapbooking is to go ahead and put the photos into the pages. And then because I've done videos on this already, these are done, like I said. But when I get there, I will probably just recreate these little pieces here with the new paper. Or maybe I'll leave them. I don't know. I probably won't because I tend to be a little type A and will want everything to match. But it was only 2 pages or 3 pages that are done. So I decided, which is not typical, once I usually commit to a suite or collection, I usually stick with it, but I just couldn't resist how perfect this collection was for this particular album. And this happens to be the album that's on the front of my mind right now. I have, I think, 7 trips that I'm kind of working on, and I don't work chronologically. I tend to work on what I'm inspired by at the moment. So I kind of have a bunch of different albums going at once, but this has kind of been identified as the album that I want to finish next. I just finished my family album from 2020 last year, so now we're going to move on to this one. So what I did is I took a piece of thick basic white cardstock and I cut it to 6 by 8 so that I could create I'm just going to check to make sure it's good. Sometimes you need to go a little, nope, it works perfectly. I like to cut the 6x8 page here for the front as my cover page, so that's what I'm going to do first. And I generally, not always, but generally I like to actually use a couple of highlight pictures from the trip on this first page. So what I did first was I cut that 6x8 out of thick Whisper White, and then I'm using a piece of this pattern paper, which is cut at 5 3/4 by 7 3/4. I'm going to go ahead and attach that because I'm not going to use any ribbon or anything on this right now, at least not wrapped around the panel, so I know I can go ahead and just tape this down. So I'm going to do this. Okay. And then, like I mentioned, I like to sometimes use a couple of highlight videos, or videos, yeah, highlight photos from the trip on this cover page. So I've gone ahead and cut a few. I didn't cut this one yet. I might leave it whole. I just think that's really cool, the picture. I might leave that a whole one. I liked this one because it was far enough away that I could cut it down small so that I could put this as one of the covers. This is me and my niece. She was the one that got to go with me for this trip. This was in 2019, so it was literally 5 months after I met Nate, I think, and so I'd already registered for this trip. So Heather got to go with me, even though I was with Nate at the time. This was my last girls' trip, and I managed to get most of my friends into the trips somewhere, so that was fun. I'm thinking I'm probably just going to do 2, and I don't know, maybe this one. It shows a little bit more of like that kind of vibe, although I do love that little boat too. I just really love the color of the water. I mean, the water was gorgeous. So I'm thinking, I don't know. It's so hard to decide. I don't think I want that one, so we'll take that out. I think I'm going to use, the good thing is I can use either one in the book itself. So, decisions. I love the water on this one, but I love kind of more of the buildings showing on this one. I think I'm going to go with this one. All right, decision made. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to mat these, I think, with some cardstock. So I cut those, I might have to trim them down a little bit. We'll see. I cut those 3x4. So if I do 4 1/4 by 3 1/4, I'm using Night of Navy, which is one of the other colors. I could probably use the Balmy Blue too, but I want the photos to really be the highlight, so I don't want a super contrasting background. Like I said, I may have to cut these a little bit smaller. We'll see. I was trying to show that little boat, but I guess I could put it up a little higher, but it doesn't really matter. It's not of huge importance. So there you go. And then part of me is kind of like, well, maybe I should leave the people more prominent, but then you don't see this. So I think we're going to do it like that. Okay. All right. And then I feel like I need something to kind of anchor this. I did use the trick that Nate showed you the other day with the my letters. I used the Alphabet a la Mode stamp set, and I die cut some things from that. I might use maybe this one, and then maybe a little bit of this. So I'm going to just cut a strip of this. I'll just cut like 1.5 inches on this one. It's a little busy, so I don't want a huge piece. And I think I'm going to cut a little piece of this too. But 1.5 inches by, let's see, that's 6 inches across, so maybe like 5. And then I can kind of, maybe I should have went a little longer. Let's see, where's that piece? Yeah, let's try this one. That's too long. Let's do the full 6 here, like that. And I'm just going to use that to kind of anchor. And then I'm going to use another little strip. This will take the back side of this piece, and we'll do 1 inch, because that's a pretty bold pattern. Actually, the lemons are going the wrong way. Well, let's see. if they're going the right way. They're going the right way this way. So let me just cut another piece, because that will bug me. So we're gonna go ahead and cut that, and that's 6. So let's do, like, we'll start with 5.5. All right. So then I'm gonna just do a little piece under here as well, like that. And that's just gonna kind of ground those photos, I think. I might actually swap that, because I feel like we need to put the busier one up top. A little less showing on that one. Like that. Okay. I don't know, it's still pretty busy. So maybe I might take this piece out for right now, and I might hold that thought. I might actually use some of the lemons, but I'm gonna use this and then maybe a strip of white instead. Let's see. Just to kind of ground that a little bit. All right, let's see. I think I'm gonna trim this down a little bit, because it's a little too much. And then I actually think I'm gonna swap that and do it like this. Just a little bit of white under there, like that. Okay. And then like this. All right, let's attach the photos because they're bugging me. Oops, oh no, all my letters are stuck together. I'm not to that point yet. Take those off here. Attach them. Oh goodness. There. Okay, let's try that again. I'm gonna go ahead and attach this. What's super exciting is last weekend for my birthday, Nate got me a new photo printer. So hopefully that will help me kind of scrap a little bit more in the moment. Because it was just so hard to be able to know what photos to pick and then to get them printed and then have to go get them or wait for them to arrive. So now I can print on demand, which will be really good. All right, so I think I'm gonna do kind of like that. And then what I'm thinking is I might actually take, so see here, there's these lemon clusters. I don't think the dies will cut those, but let's just look really quick. No, is that one? No, so that cuts out. So it does not cut these out, but I'm thinking I might want to cut one of these out. Maybe this smaller one here. So I'm gonna cut this. I know, I should have done this before. It was just kind of a last minute thought as I'm thinking. So I told you this is gonna be kind of like Thursday Throwdown, where I'm doing this on the fly. So this is kind of what I'm thinking. So I'm not gonna get like super, like I'm not gonna cut those. I'm gonna get pretty close in here. And we'll cut that part out so I don't have to get super finicky with the flowers. And then I'm going to, and I actually looks like I'm going to go right up close to these, which I'll have to fix that first petal, or first leaf rather. Just gonna do that. So it's a little fussy, but I think it'll be worth it in the long run. I could stamp an image and color it too, but I just kind of want that finished kind of printed look rather than stamped, if that makes sense. So I am going to cut this flower out because you can't see the stem there, so if I just cut the flower out it would be weird because the stem would just disappear. Alright, So this part here is going to be the most ornery. Alright. And you'll notice, as always, when I'm fussy cutting, I'm moving my paper and not my scissors. That just makes your life a little bit easier. Alright. I'm recording this on Friday, and it's going to come out to you tomorrow on Saturday, the day before Mother's Day. So I hope those of you that are mothers out there have some fun plans, and maybe have crafting as part of that plan. I'm hoping that maybe Sunday afternoon I might be able to get into my studio and do a little crafting. We're doing a little brunch, breakfast / lunch, which is brunch, but it's actually really not brunch. I think it's going to be mostly breakfast. We're going to do 10 a.m. on Sunday, so I think I'll have some time in the afternoon to maybe get back over here and do some things. And while I'm not a mom in the fact that I gave birth to anybody, I do have stepkids, and I am the godmother of this young lady as well as my my friend's daughter. So I'm a godmother and a mother. So I think that qualifies for me to be able to celebrate and do some crafting. Yeah, so I think I'm going to kind of fill that little bit of the hole there with that, and then we can use our grease. So I already pre-die cut and stuck them to everything, apparently. And I used the foam adhesive, so now I can put grease across this way too. Now I'm thinking maybe I should have done the yellow. I was thinking, oh, there's no yellow in there. I don't really need to do it in yellow. I'll do it in white. But maybe what I'll do to kind of make that sentiment pop off a little bit more is I will, let's see. So both Lemon Lolly, which isn't as bright, and Daffodil, so Daffodil is the bright one, are part of this collection. So let me see, maybe what we do, let me measure these. So they are about 1.5 inches. So if I cut this at 1 3/4 inches, and just a tip, so I have these little tiny pieces left. These come in really handy with pocket scrapbooking, because sometimes you just need a little strip to kind of highlight something, or use as a little strip of paper over the 3x4 tabs. So, oops, I don't know, this might be too big. Let's see, because I want it super tight. I'm gonna trim off just a little bit more. I don't want there to be a lot of excess, so I'm gonna go down to 1.5 for the size, and then this can go, it's gonna go under here, so a lot of that's gonna be covered. So let's start the G, like right about here, and by doing that super close to the edges, it's gonna help me keep this really straight, hopefully. That's the idea. Okay, it's hanging off just a little bit, but I'm okay with that. All right, so we've got our G. Where's my R? Oh, here's my R. We've got the R. Pop that out. Okay, and then we just gotta peel off the backing. We'll do G, and see how that's really making that white pop now. Actually needs to go down a little bit more. There we go. I used the Alphabet a la Mode dies, which I love because they're kind of like skinny and really, really perfect for titles and stuff. So now I'm just gonna put that on. Hopefully I'm doing this straight. Would be a good point to use my grid paper. But, you know. Oops, sorry. I just whacked it with my head. There we go. G-R-E-E-C-E. You ever look at something and go, is that really how it's spelled? Because that's how I'm feeling all of a sudden. I'm like, did I spell it wrong? I have done that. I have an album that I did years ago. It's actually my honeymoon album for my first wedding. And I spelled Pacific wrong. And I didn't catch it until a long, long time later. And by that point, I no longer had the dies that I used. They were the old, do you guys remember the, what are those called? The quick cuts? Where you had the little handheld punch to die cut letters. Yeah, that's what I used, and I didn't have it anymore to fix it. So it says it's missing a I think. There. All right, so that might not be the straightest that I've ever done, but it'll work. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and start attaching some of this down too. So I kind of like how everything's looking. So I'm gonna go ahead and just tape these together. Okay, and then I can go ahead, tape this down. Oops, I just taped onto my layout. This is why you should not do that on top of the layout, but it's okay, because I'm using the Stampin' Seal Plus, so I can just roll these over. And I'm gonna put this down, I don't know, right about there looks good. Okay, and then I did kind of go over here, so I'm just gonna trim that off. All right, so now we can put the photos down. So kind of like that is what I'm thinking. And you could do smaller photos, like maybe a bunch of squares if you wanted to do more highlights from your trip. Sometimes I do this as a double page end spread too, or near the end. I did that with my family album. I have a big double page spread that says highlights. And I put a whole bunch of the photos in there that just kind of highlighted all the fun things we did. The fact that I got engaged on that trip. So that was a big one. All right, so now this, and I'm covering most of that now. Well, I guess it doesn't matter that I put the white there, huh? Didn't even notice that before, but it's all good. All right, so I think this E is really kind of crooked. I think I'm gonna lay this down first. And I really covered up all of that, didn't I? Well, maybe we'll put it down a little bit lower. Like that. And then we can put this here. And then we'll see a little bit there. So you don't want it to be too busy, so I think that'll work. I probably should have accommodated that a little bit better, but it's all good. All right, so I'm gonna put it down a little bit lower, kind of put that E to the end there. So you'll see a little bit of the white in that pattern paper, like that. And I'll trim off the excess here. Okay. I could have done like a little banner end there too, but I did not. All right, so now we'll put this maybe like that. I think I want to put this up on dimensionals though. So we'll add the dimensionals. I was really bad about writing notes for this trip. I think I have one little notes thing that I took in my phone from one of the days, but like I don't even remember what the ports were. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit of research and hunting down some of the details on this one. All right, I kind of want it to, here we go. That looks good. So we'll do that. Okay. All right, and then we can take some of the embellishments here. I'm gonna actually add a little bit of Wink of Stella to my lemon. Wink of Stella should be back later this month. Actually, I haven't checked. It could be back now. Need to stock up. I've been using that one pretty intensely. All right, so let's see. I usually, like when I'm gonna use a suite like this, I will order like I have ordered 2 packs of the paper, plus I only ordered one of these, but I'll probably order another one, and I may actually even order another pack of the paper, just because I like to have it on hand to be able to finish the album. So like the original collection that I was using for this particular trip, I was really, like, I was pulling at scraps. Like, I didn't have a lot of extra stuff left over, and so I was like kind of getting nervous that I wasn't gonna have enough to finish the album. And it's all retired now, so it would be really hard to find more stuff. And that's the other reason why I was like, you know what, I'm gonna actually switch to collection for this project, because my goal is to actually finish this album while this product is current, so that I can show it off, because it's always fun to show off my albums, but I feel bad when I show off an album that, like, at my events, like my retreats and stuff, or like where I'm vending, and then like the stuff's no longer available, and so like if they loved what I used, I don't have it to be able to let them use it too. So that's why I'm like, you know what, let's finish this while this stuff is still present, so that you guys could get it too. All right, so there's that, and that's gonna be my cover page for this album. So super quick and easy, simple. And what I will do is on this opposite page, let me get this in here. So there's the cover, and I'll probably put the year under here too. Like, actually I might do a little strip, actually. Maybe, so I have my just scrapping, so I have this little piece here. I don't know that I want to use white. Maybe the balmy blue. If I use a piece of that, will that work? Possibly, because it matches the sky. And so this was 2019, so I'm going to cut a little tiny piece. And again, this is where it's really handy to have just little scraps. And I'm going to go ahead and cut this, so I can kind of put, we're going to do it right now. Let's go ahead and do it. So I'm going to do, this is 2019. So I'm going to do 2019. Okay, and then I think I'm gonna trim off a little bit because I don't need a ton of that, and I'm gonna do a little banner end in this. Okay, and then now I'm really thinking, the brain is going, my friends. I'm gonna put this like here. Let's just attach it with some regular adhesive, and I'll show you what we're gonna do next. I'm gonna actually take a piece of, let's see, where's that paper that I used? So I have this here, this little flower. We're gonna use that flower. It's not a full thing, like a full lemon, so I wouldn't be able to cut that out, but I can use this little flower. And I'm gonna go ahead and fussy cut this out. We could stamp one too. I think there is a flower in the stamp set, but I'm actually not doing any stamping on this layout, which is fine. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I think that's what I'm most excited about for Stampin' Up, to have more scrapbooking type product later this year, because then I don't always have to stamp. I do love stamping on my layouts. I think it adds a lot to a page, but I don't want to feel like I have to. All right, so we're going to do that. And then I can put this here. See? And then I'll actually add a little bit of, I'll add one of the embellishments there too. So we have the little ones here, and we'll add that here. And then we have our finished little page. And that way it's got my year and everything. And so now I've got the first title page done, and on this one I will probably pull like a photo that I really love, whether it's one in order or if it's just a favorite that I have that I want to document. I'll add that one to that page, and then we will, like, I actually have this one here is one of my favorites from the trip, so maybe I will put that one here and do that, and then maybe make like some journaling that just talks about you know, the trip in general, about how it was really fun to travel with my niece, and, you know, it was a once in a lifetime experience for both of us, and all that kind of stuff. And then we can get into like the chronological aspect of the trip. So that's what most of this is. This is kind of all in order as it happened, so I can go ahead and finish the album that way. So there you go. That's my first page for my Greece album. Super excited to use this suite to document this trip, and I hope you guys loved that inspiration. I would love to know, do you do pocket style scrapbooking? Do you do traditional scrapbooking? Do you do any scrapbooking? Let me know in the comments below, and that will just guide me as to whether or not to continue to do some scrapbooking videos in the future. All right, my friends, thanks so much for watching. Have a great day, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.